Hello everybody, and welcome back to 18 Mile Hike. What happened last time is a bunch of weird adults pretending they're doing the thingies. It's like that one Nickelodeon show from the 90s. You know the one, right, guys? Except they're adults and not like children. And they're cringy people. It's fine. The earlier conversation leads well into the story I'm going to tell tonight. Ashley argued that things based on reality are scary. But what if you can't tell if a threat is human or inhuman? Does that matter in the end, if something's coming after you? There's a story I've heard before. Supposedly, it happened to a girl who attended my university grad department. She didn't go missing or anything, but she's had a lot of stress and thinks about this story a lot. Let's call this story A Gift from Afar. Oh. Natalie Barndenine, Lisa Newton, and Rini I hope you all are okay with those pronunciations, because it's not getting any better from here. Filled the Waffle House with the chatter at 2 a.m., which was the only appropriate time to be in a Waffle House. I've never been in a Waffle House, guys. Should I make that? Should I do that? Should I go to a Waffle House? Should I live stream a Waffle House event? Am I allowed to stream at a it's not even public, in a restaurant? I don't know, man. I don't know. The three young women are traveling south together over the fall break at their college to visit their families. Their families all lived 4 states away. It was at least a 2-day drive back home from their college, so they took plenty of stops at roadside attractions and diners along the way. Over the years, Natalie had gotten into the geocache. What is that? Is that a thing? Scene during these little trips. Lisa and Rennie wasn't as into the concept, but they didn't complain about letting Natalie stop at a odd parking lot and old bridges to take 15 to 20 minutes and swap an item she found in random boxes. At least if the item was relatively safe to take. So many boxes have... Wait. So how many boxes have you stopped at throughout the years? Said Rennie. Cool. Sorry, I'm not used to this structure. I'm used to the normal VN structure. The sentence is weird. Okay. Like it's like a book. Who reads books? And also, is it Rennie? Rennie. Before taking a heavy sip of her milkshake. Natalie pursed her lips and looked away, trying to think, while Lisa flicked through the feed on her phone. I think 237. Reenie's eyes widened as she slurped the bottom of her shake, and Natalie plucked the phone out of her pocket and checked her notes. 238, actually? Rennie chirped out a laugh. How do you find the time for all of this? Lisa looked up from her phone and crossed her arms before replying. That's what I'd like to know too, since she's usually too busy for tennis and all. Oh, come on. It's been a hard semester. Natalie patted her shoulder. Lisa rolled her eyes. Tennis is that taxing? Natalie laughed a little nervously. It isn't. But I just need some alone time to clear my head. Plus, it's easier than you'd think to find boxes like this all over campus. People tell you where to look, and it mixes things up whenever you go out for a jog. Rennie butted into the train of thought with a twirling finger, grinning. So what sort of rules do you have to follow with these boxes you find? By now, Natalie knew the rules of geocaches like the back of her hand. She knew what you could seek out your mark in a location you'd like to visit using the coordinates that your local sites and clubs can give you. Once you're there, you identify the camouflaged location of the cache. Next, you sign the logbook that the original planter left. Finally, you take what's there, and then you leave something of equal value behind, or ideally, something better. Rennie interjected again. How exactly is that decided, anyway? Natalie chuckled a bit nervously. How's what decided? Rennie clarifies. You know, the value of things. Natalie thought this was a fair question. I always figured it was a bit personal, though there should always be some objective value when taken into account. Rennie cringed a bit. If somebody leaves something as special as a rare geode, it's not exactly the best form to leave a poem, is it? That made Natalie laugh. Right, exactly. With a curious look, Rennie asks, So, what do you plan to leave behind in this next box? Natalie's eyes twinkled in the light as she plucked a little guitar on a keychain from her pocket. It had a barcode printed on it. Meet my travel bug. What's that? It's another thing you can put in a capsule. It has a website and everything. What's on the website? Natalie turned the keychain over to show the other side. People can see the goal I set for the bug and log where they've taken it. That's a way of track how many miles it's been to. Rennie smiled. Was that part of your goal for this one? You got it. I wrote that I want this one to go at least 24,850 miles before it comes back to me. Why that much? Well, because that's the circumference of the Earth, and if I figured if I can't travel all the way around the world, then it would be nice if at least something I own does. Rennie snorted. Girl, that's so damn corny. Oh, come on. It'll be cool to see where it goes, if it takes off. And what if it does? Then I guess I'll have to buy a new one and try again. How many of these things are there? Oh, how much are these things? Sorry. $5. So why do you want to go there? Why is it like that? Why it like that? So why do you want to go there? The once quiet Lisa said a bit suddenly, before she bit into her spicy chicken sandwich. Her question hung in the air, like it was caught up on the coffee aroma that permeated the tidy little diner. Lisa left that, but for the most part, this was a safe and healthy hobby. Except for the fact this cache was there. It's like playing the pronouns game. Excuse me. Natalie shrugged. We're passing by. Plus, I just wasn't expecting to find a cache there, of all places. And not just any cache, a time-sensitive event cache. I hope I'm saying that word right, by the way. It just keeps coming up, but I'm like, I think it's cache? Is it just cache? 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 I'm gonna look like a fool anyway, but that's fine. That's what you all are here for. The website advertising them had a few of those marks from time to time, but she'd never been able to find one on time, or make it to the parcel before the links expired. Lisa tilted her head and gave her a side look, then put her sandwich down on the wrapper. Natalie knew why. Lisa wasn't bothered about the idea of a cache hunt. She was bothered by the location. The defunct stone quarry near Highway 42. Okay. It wasn't particularly dangerous or anything. They just had a lot of bad memories about that place. Ordinary things. Bad breakups, some intense field trips in biology class to see the eel that bred in the flooded pools, one where a classmate broke her leg, and another where a student riled a wasp nest and had to get stabbed with an EpiPen before being hauled off by an ambulance. Little moments in the grand scheme of things that added up to a miasma hanging over that place. We'll be in and out. Lisa rolled her eyes. You'll be going by yourself. I'll be staying at the motel. She took another bite of her sandwich while she looked at the directions on her phone, her brow furrowed. Plus, it'll be bark? It will be dark by the time we get there. So I'll get it when it's dark. Lisa shot her another look. Natalie knew that most people were scared of the dark, at least a little bit. After all, didn't it make some degree of sense? It was sensible for people since back at the Stone Age, before the Stone Age, most carnivorous animals were nocturnal hunters. People who had the impulse to stay inside after dark would live longer and pass the fear onto their children. Those scared children would become living adults, and as shelter improved, the fear became less practical, but it stuck with many people all the same. She was certainly no exception. But she did not fear the outdoors at night, certainly not in the same way that she feared opening a dark cabinet to see the pale eyes and white teeth of something staring back at her. Closet, not cabinet, whatever. It is different, my words are bad. She always thought she'd have a better chance of surviving a wild animal while alert and awake. Okay. Maybe losing it by ducking into the grass or by climbing a tree while using all of the noise of the woods to her advantage, rather than waking up to something looming over her bed in the middle of the night or jumping out of the closet. Fine, just keep your phone on you. They finished their food and prepared themselves for the long drive. On the way, they passed plenty of narrow old bridges and rust-tinged farms. The road became rougher when it was time to take the correct turn. Natalie thought the road to the motel used to be a lot more smoother on this side of the Appalachians. There were potholes that had to drive around, and weeds and brittle branches that snapped off of dead trees, and littered was what was left of the long-neglected asphalt. What kind of motel looks like this? Why you like this, friend? This is why I don't like going to motel hotels, you know? Why did I say it like that? I don't know, man. I just don't like trusting temporary residents like that. It's too many things, people telling me that's where hauntings and, like, murders happen. I'm just gonna stay in my little home and never leave. They remembered the attendant, too. They didn't know its name, but they remembered his face. They always figured he owned the hotel, but they never asked. Card. He held out his hand to them with an impatient tone in his voice. Lisa was willing to cover this one. The attendant was quick about the charge and handed her back her card, along with a little paper envelope that held the keys. Lisa tilted her head. Don't you want to check our IDs? The man shook his head. Transaction worked. Natalie cut in. We're just used to people asking. We've been traveling. I trust you both. No names. Lisa sent Natalie a look, but she shook her head. Thank you. We'll stay out of your way. The old man nodded, his lips thinning. There's a phone in the room if you need anything. Okay. The hotel room were like they were. The hotel room. Okay, we got there. The hotel rooms were like they remembered them too. The same beige wall sconces. Sconces. What's a sconce? I just look like a big old idiot today, don't I? That's fine. The same earth-colored pastel landscapes that looked like washed-out homages to Norman Rockwell. Lisa threw down her backpack on the bed and sunk into the chair. Well, that was strange. Natalie bit her lip. So what was up with that guy? Lisa shrugged. He's probably one of those old guys who thinks he's still fine to keep your front door unlocked. Natalie shook her head. No, I don't think that was it. He seemed like he was on edge when he suggested showing him your ID. Usually it's the other way around. That's what I'm saying. Lisa plucked out her phone from her pocket and started scrolling. You're the one who wanted to come out here. Natalie wrung her hands. Okay. Yeah, I know. We can leave if you want. But you already paid for the room. I'd rather lose $100 than deal with Norman Bates shit. Natalie rolled her eyes. That's not what I mean when I said it was weird. Then, what did you mean? He didn't seem creepy to me. He just seemed like his mind was on something else. I hope you're right. We'd stayed here before in high school. Not alone. You sure you don't want to come back for the cachet with me? Yeah, I'm sure. Okay, I'll text you every 30 minutes. Okay. Okay, bye-bye. Oh, when Natalie got to the front desk, she noticed the receptionist wasn't there. Considering it was well past 8 p.m., she figured it wasn't that weird, but she did wonder. How long did those like stay open? Do concierge how? I mean, 8 p.m. sounds normal, right? I don't know. I don't think about that shit. You think I vacation? It wasn't completely dark outside. The sodium. Okay. Lights in the parking lot and little pub across the street made the beginning of the trail look later in the autumn than it actually was. The trail was more rocky and weedy than she remembered. She had figured students would still trek up here to look at the biodiversity of the flooded dig site, but it was a lot weedier than she remembered. Once she saw something in the distance, the memories started flooding back. There was a stone sculpture with columns and a dolmen up ahead. The columns had weird faces carved into it, old faces. That's totally normal, I guess. Sure, yeah, yep, good. Which looked like bearded people, except with slightly wrong proportions, either exaggerated by the artist who put them there, or weathered down with the warped by rain over the decades. They gave her the same nostalgic feeling that abstracted animals crafted out of logs could, or depicted depictions of the Green Man carved onto trees. There were lots of little notes and photos taped onto the stone. What is this? Some so old that she was surprised they were still there. Messages like "Class of 2013, baby! This rock is 4 out of 5 stars. Tenderfoot's today. Emmett Strange comes in peace." She was smiling until the last one. Something about reading the name gave her goosebumps. The same kind of feeling you get when you see somebody spill something on accident in the library. Something that gives you an innate sense of wrongness when you see it. She sighed and then figured she had to spend enough time scrolling down memory lane. Strolling, not scrolling. We are not on a phone. This is real life. Questionably. She checked her phone again. The coordinates for the cache weren't exactly lined up with the stone sculpture. They were off to the side beneath a big oak tree. The message on the website said to check the bark, but eventually she found a knot that wobbled when she touched it. She jiggled it and pushed it up, feeling it detached from the tree. The back of the bark had a hook nailed into it, and it was covered up with a large tree hollow. Covered up a much larger tree hollow, that's what it said. Inside, there was stuck an old-looking bank capsule. This was it. But as her hand slid over the capsule, she stopped. She heard something. There wasn't any bugs chirping either. Now she had a reason to feel nervous. That meant she wasn't alone. She turned around and gasped. There was a deer standing less than 3 feet away from her. It was one of the largest deer she had seen, and seemed to be sticking its neck out at her in curiosity. Then she started laughing, backing up. This didn't mean she was safe. After all, deer have been plenty territorial, and their hooves could be sharp. She knew of a couple of campers who had survived deer attacks, but needed stitches. At least it wasn't a person. And after a few sniffs, it turned away and wandered off back into the woods. She didn't want to waste any more time with this capsule. It twisted off easily enough with a little pop and a notebook, and a little pop and a notebook and a bag of Skittles fell out of it. Okay. Oh, Skittles. Well. Well, that was a disappointment. Natalie knew it wasn't the best form for anybody to leave candy in a geocache. While she figured that it was true, the packaged candy could have a long enough shelf life to be fine, but if you left it there long enough, bugs or animals could get into it. She couldn't see it that well with her phone flashlight, but the candy wrapper looked like it had lost its coloring. It was time to flip through the logbook to see who was responsible for this. Just somebody named Spiffy. They didn't even list that they put in a pack of Skittles. Amateur mistake, figured Natalie. Spiffy was ruining it for everybody. Above the name was a Jackie Sutherland. The item she logged as leaving was a lump of pyrite. Huh, okay. Natalie groaned. That was way cooler. She looked at the little pack of Skittles and pursed her lips. Then she pocketed it. She replaced it with the travel bug and signed her name in the little book with the pen chain to it. She placed it back into the capsule, sealed it, and slid it into the little nook. Oh. Okay, everyone. I'm going to end the part here. This is a pretty neat format for a VN. I am enjoying this quite a bit. But I do hope that you all have enjoyed, and I'll see you guys around.